After her divorce, Jane Fonda finally revealed the truth about her marriage to Ted Turner, a chapter that became one of the most profound turning points in her extraordinary life. Born Jane Seymour Fonda on December 21, 1937, in New York City, she grew up in the shadow of Hollywood legend Henry Fonda and socialite Francis Ford Seymour. Her world was glamorous from the outside, yet layered with emotional complexity from within. When Jane was just 12, her mother tragically died by suicide, an event that shaped her sensitivity, resilience, and lifelong dedication to mental health, women's empowerment, and social justice. Although she initially resisted the idea of following her father into acting, her natural charisma led her to study under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio, launching her career with early successes like Tall Story and Cat Ballou. Refusing to be typecast, she embraced challenging roles and soon became both a celebrated actress and a controversial public figure, especially after her Vietnam-era activism and the infamous Hanoi photograph and image she came to deeply regret, even as she stood firmly by her anti-war beliefs. Despite the turbulence, she rose to the top of her craft, winning 2 Academy Awards for Clute and Coming Home, and later becoming a cultural phenomenon with her groundbreaking 1980s fitness empire. Her personal life unfolded in equally transformative chapters, with 3 marriages each marking a different era of her evolution. With French director Roger Vadim, she explored sensuality and artistic expression. With activist Tom Hayden, she immersed herself in political reform. And with billionaire media titan Ted Turner, she entered a world of adventure, wealth, and emotional contradiction. When Jane married Turner in 1991, the world was fascinated by the unlikely pairing of a reflective activist and an electrifying, high-energy mogul. For a decade, she lived inside Ted's whirlwind: global travel, social events, sprawling ranches, and a life lived at full speed. She later described him as brilliant, charming, endlessly energetic, and larger than life. Being with him, she confessed, was thrilling, but also overwhelming. Ted craved constant activity and companionship, while Jane was growing into a woman who needed stillness, spirituality, and solitude. Over time, she realized she was slowly losing touch with herself, just as she had in earlier relationships. There was no betrayal, no dramatic collapse, just 2 people growing in different directions. There wasn't anger, she said. It was sadness. We loved each other, but we couldn't grow in the same soil. Even as she made the painful decision to leave, Jane spoke of Ted with tremendous tenderness. She called him generous, funny, and one of the great loves of her life. He made me feel alive again, she admitted. But she knew that staying meant living his life, not her own. The divorce in 2001 marked a rebirth. It allowed her to return to acting, rediscover her sense of purpose, and continue her lifelong journey of self-discovery. She often said that their marriage taught her joy, adventure, and generosity, but also the importance of holding on to herself. Despite their separation, they remained close friends, with Fonda visiting him at his ranch and speaking of him with warmth. If soulmates exist, she once reflected, Ted was one of mine. But soulmates aren't always meant to last forever. Sometimes they come to wake you up. Looking back, Jane doesn't view the end of their marriage as a failure, but as a necessary transformation, another chapter in a life defined by growth, reinvention, and courage. It wasn't about leaving Ted, she said. It was about coming home to myself. Through her honesty, Fonda revealed not just the truth about Ted Turner, but also the truth about her own evolution, a woman who has lived many lives, learned from every love, and continues to rise fearless, reflective, and unapologetically herself.